for significant headways, remember that the Americans and Taliban were meeting for 6 days. I'm being told sometimes for 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours. So they got to know each other. There should be some trust between the two parties. We're being told that Ambassador Khalilzad insisted time and again that there has to be a comprehensive ceasefire and that Afghan's government has to talk to the Taliban. We know that the Taliban have been demanding that the U.S. must withdraw its forces. There should be some date announced for that. And it is a welcome news, at least for ordinary people. This is a country that is bleeding. We heard from the Afghan president in Davos, Switzerland, that 45,000 soldiers were killed in the last 4 to 5 years. So you can imagine the expectations, the hope among ordinary people. This is a country that really bleeds sometimes on an hourly basis.
Now, you mentioned, Bilal, 14 hours roughly of talks. In that time, has any deal been reached at all?
I think what you can see is that there's resolve and commitment on both sides. I think the statement by the American ambassador as well as the Taliban pretty much say the same thing, that there will be further discussions and consultations within the leadership of both of the groups. But we expect Zalmay Khalilzad to come here to Kabul and brief President Ghani and other politicians. I mean, you have to remember, this is a very different country, Afghanistan, than the one that the Taliban ruled. So what happens to minority groups? What happens to women? What happens to press freedom? What type of a government would the Taliban really want to be part of, you know? And what really happens to a ceasefire? Can you really implement that? Because the ceasefire that was here last time was a short ceasefire. This time you're talking possibly about 6 months. I think you're also looking at the issue that the Taliban would give guarantees that Afghanistan will not be used against other countries. That's a clear reference to Al-Qaeda and other groups. And I think the question is, can the Taliban really physically take on those foreign militant groups, or what those guarantees will really entail? We really don't know.
Okay. And Bilal, we know these talks took place in Doha, but what has been the reaction in Kabul?
I was speaking to a very senior aide close to President Ashraf Ghani, and he was saying that for Afghanistan, for the Afghan government, definitely the Afghans have to be at the table. We have to really discuss the achievements of the last 17 years, and then we can move on from there. But this is also a situation when all sides are talking as well as fighting. I think the hope here among the Afghan government is that this will be, you know, a process of discussions between the government and other politicians here in Kabul, as well as the Taliban, and that will hopefully result in a deal that will be acceptable not only to Afghans but also to the regional countries, to the regional players, which is an important dynamic into this conflict.
Absolutely.